What is the difference between the version of me that's sitting in front of you now versus the version of me that had a multi-million-dollar business and decided to sell that and change her entire life? And it's not to say that working with me is going to mean you want to sell your business and step into the same life that I have, but it's what was true for me on the other side of deeply knowing who I am and deeply desiring something different for how I'm in service to the world. And that service is actually helping other women come into more love and truth within themselves. So the version of me now is happy to receive and give love. Whereas before I was blocked and walled up and I wouldn't even allow my ex-husband to love me. I wouldn't even allow myself to fully love him because I had such a fear of losing that love that I was shut down to allowing the truth of the depth of love that I have to either give and receive. The version of me now only eats organic and moves her body every day because I wake up and I ask myself, if I loved myself, what would I eat? And if I loved myself, how would I move? Versus the version of me that did no exercise, that pretty much ate burgers and chips and bagels and was 110 kilos because I was deeply unhappy with who I was and how I showed up in the world, even though I was hyper successful and had everything that everyone thought I should have as a highly successful business owner and entrepreneur. The version of me now that has deep connected relationships and friends that will hold me in my mess and celebrate my success, and it's not built on shallowness or only talking about business or only talking about other people. It's relationships that are deeply founded in feeling each other and loving each other and trusting each other and wanting us to be able to show up in the fully expressed version of ourselves, versus the version of me that actually would have said she had no close friendships or girlfriends because I wouldn't allow myself to trust people enough to be in relationship with them. In fact, I didn't trust myself enough to be in relationship with people. I was deeply wounded and deeply guarded, and that was evident by the lack of connection that I had in my life. The old version of me that didn't really know how to mother my son, that was triggered by him constantly, that would yell at him for no reason, that would come home from work and sort of unload my stress onto my child at the time. Versus the version of me now that is grounded in my relationship with my son, that understands my own triggers and understands when I'm not in a space to hold him and I can ask for help in order to give to myself first, rather than keep trying to pour from an empty cup to fill up my son or to fill up other people. And I know myself deeply. The version of myself now that knows herself so well that I can feel when emotion is stirring. I can feel when I need to express myself by crying or screaming or giving myself space to be angry. And when I alchemize that on the other side, there's always joy and bliss and love and freedom. Versus the version of me that never actually allowed herself to cry, that thought that it was normal to be so emotionally locked down and thought that it just meant that I was resilient and better than everyone else because I had a handle on my emotions. When what I didn't know was I was so locked down, I was so pent up and locked up in my own system that I didn't actually know how to express or to feel. But because I couldn't allow myself to feel my anger and my sadness and my pain, I also didn't allow myself to feel joy or love or peace or connection or bliss. And I want to tell you that there is a world where we get to feel our emotions and not let it consume us. There is a world where we get to live in joy and bliss and happiness and pleasure and be wildly successful and be in deeply fulfilling businesses and careers where we know that we're contributing to something greater than ourselves. That it is normal to have deeply connected friendships and relationships where you're seen and heard and held and loved and supported. And the journey to all of that starts with the relationship that you have with yourself and how much you can be in relationship with yourself. And that is how you start to change how you're in relationship with the external world.